Mario Kart Super Circuit. This is a Game Boy Advance Mario Kart game. While it is cool that you can now play one of the older Mario Kart games, is it worth the race or should you forfeit before you even start? Let me first say I loved the first game, Super Mario Kart for the SNES. Sure, it doesn't hold up very well today visually, but at the time it was a ton of fun. Some of the tracks from that game have made their way onto this title, and at the time I bet that was an amazing feat. Being able to play a Mario Kart racer on the go? Yeah, sign me up. I know kids nowadays are like, yeah, I'm used to that. Well, back in the day it wasn't that common. Game Boy Advance games were often like really bad versions of the source material from the consoles. With the exception of the Zelda game, that one was just amazing on the Game Boy. I believe they're using Mode 7 to fake 3D to make this kart racer. However, I think it looks worse at times than the Super Nintendo game. Even the screen smoothing didn't help it. Plus, the seizure-inducing level designs at times were just baffling. The worst example of this was this Bowser's Castle level. I had to turn away every time because my brain was starting to go, my head. That's not to say that it was all bad graphically. I like some of the backgrounds in some of the later races. Now, there were only a few playable characters to play, and I found Peach the best out of all of them. She was really fast, but didn't have any weight on her. So you would think that she would have handled really bad, but she didn't. That's because everyone handled terribly. All of the characters felt stiff, and while you could do power slides, those even felt off as well. The game was not controlled as well as the others in the series. The level designs were creative at times, but not to the extremes that you might see in games like Mario Kart 64 or higher. Since they were so limited in the way that races were set up, they had to use little moments and environments to make the gameplay more fun. So I kind of liked the cloud level the best, because it felt a little bit different than the other levels. You could race in 50, 100, or 150cc mode, so there is some replayability in that, because you could get different ratings based on how well you did. There's also an opportunity to unlock a special set of tracks. There are 3 options to play in the single player. Mario GP, where you play 4 courses to see if you can come in first place, a time trial where you'll try and get the best times, and a quick run which makes it so you can play just one track of your choice. Now, just like the other Mario Kart racing games, this is only half the game. The other half, of course, is multiplayer. The fun of popping each other's balloons in an enclosed environment. So why don't we check out the multiplayer mode? Oh wait, we can't. Since this is a Game Boy Advance game, you're going to need another Game Boy Advance to play the multiplayer. Now there is one other mode you could play, which is the Ghost Exchange, where you could try— oh my god! You've got to be f***ing kidding me. This is complete horseshit. You can't release a game for full price when 2/3 of the options are locked out. That is absolutely ridiculous. I understand it's a Game Boy Advance game. Nintendo should have never released this without making it so we could play these modes, at least the multiplayer mode. That would have been nice. One of the positives I will say about this game is the same thing I say about all Virtual Console games for the Wii U. And that's it can be played off TV. And it looks way better that way. And I know that's kind of the way it looked on the Game Boy Advance, but that's not to say it looks that much better, because it still looks very blocky and grainy. So Mario Kart Super Circuit, what is this game really? It's a single player Mario Kart racer. Now this would be fine if it didn't control so stiff, looked awful, and had for the most part pretty boring level designs. You might be able to read between the lines here, but I think you should just skip this game. Oh man, 2 bad games in a row. This is not good. I gotta hope for a better game next week. If you want to check out my last review, it was Spiky Walls. Or if you're trying to find a better Mario Kart racer, why don't you check out my review of Mario Kart 8. Thank you guys for watching, and please subscribe.